Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to another, or good day, wherever. I'm saying good evening. I'm being very time zonist, right? Time zone centric. I'm a time zone. I'm doing some time zone discrimination. I'm assuming everyone is in the evening as they're listening to my G1 31 recap. We're covering nights 13 and 14 here, right here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes or on your favorite podcast application. Thank you all for tuning in. My God, man, we are in the final stretch, and Gedo, like a true Gedo is not unlike Bob Ross, where he paints a picture and, he starts putting blotches and he pulls out his, he takes out his paintbrushes and he paints this picture, and all you see is like shapes and colors and forms, and he tells you, look at what I'm doing here. Here's a happy little tree. You're like, it doesn't look like a tree. It looks like your brush smudges right now. But as he keeps working at it, as he keeps putting everything together, as he draws, not draws, but paints like one, semi-crooked line to say this is the contour of a tree, this is the trunk of a tree. As he continues to do that, Gedo says, look at the picture I'm painting. Doesn't it all make sense? And we're getting into that part right now. We're getting into the essence of Gedo's portraiture right now as we wind down the G1. And I dare say, I'm still not 100% convinced that my expectations, my predictions are coming true, but we're, because Gedo, goddamn you, right? Let's get to it. This way, I enjoyed these 2 nights of professional wrestling provided to us by New Japan Pro Wrestling. Let's start with Block A, Night 13, which occurred on October 9, 2021. We had Kenta defeating Zack Sabre Jr., clear favorite to win the block right up until this match here. And look, this match goes straight into striking. No grappling, no stalling by Kenta. We're just going straight forward in this one until Zack Sabre Jr. blocks a kick and picks the leg, and then it all sort of spills to the floor. Then at that point, there's Zack Sabre Jr. goes for a bow and arrow attempt on Kenta as well. Well, not only an attempt, but he actually locks it in. Kenta kicks Zack Sabre Jr., who tries to stand up to Kenta's kicks, but Kenta is known as a kicker. So why would you do that? But you could tell early on in this match, as Zack is standing there and he's like, yeah, give me your kicks, pal. You can tell that this match is not going Zack Sabre Jr.'s way. He's off of his typical game, right? He's not sticking to his typical game plan, as if Sabre is like, I can wrestle a different kind, a different type of match. I can do something different. We do see him do stuff like we're used to him to see, like we see him working Kenta's arm, right? Kenta fights back, hits the corner face wash, the basement shotgun drop kick, and the coup de grace. Zack Sabre Jr. finally locks in a Cobra twist, but then it gets reversed into a game over attempt, which Zack Sabre Jr. eventually reverses into a submission of his own. Again, it's not a complete abandonment of what Zack Sabre Jr. is, but not as flowing as he typically is. Kenta hits a psycho knee, goes for another. Zack Sabre Jr. picks it, transitioning into a leg bar, which was a really, really nice little situation there. Kenta slaps him some more. Zack Sabre Jr. pretzels him. And Kenta, at some point, he just wallops Sabre. He goes for a go to sleep after that. Gets countered into an ankle lock, which was really cool. But Kenta gets out. He pushes Zack Sabre Jr. into an exposed turnbuckle that occurred during the match. Zack Sabre Jr. staggers out of the corner and into a GTS. Go to sleep. 4. The big win for the big 2 points for Kenta. Good for him. Well, you know, he's still in the conversation at this point, right? Which, so yeah, of course that's a good thing for that's a very good thing for Kenta. So hooray, Kenta. We'll talk about the points and standings as per usual a little towards the end once I'm done wrapping everything up. Hey, Zeus King, nice to see you. Very nice words as well. Thank you very much. And good to see you. Toru Yano defeated Yujiro Takahashi, the Tokyo Pimp, which effectively, you know, Yujiro, man. What the hell, right? I mean, again, you know, it's a Yano match, so you're either into it or you're not. Yujiro dives at Yano before he gets into the ring, before any nonsense ensues, and he gets into Yano's bag of tricks. Pulls out the tape and he starts rolling, you know, taping Yano, you know, his arms up against his torso and pushes him on a chair and then kicks him. Eventually, of course, Yano returns to the ring. But so Yujiro at some point, he's like, I'm going to take some turnbuckles off. And there's one turnbuckle he can't take off. Like, there's a knot. I don't know if it's one of the young lions. I don't know who did it. I don't know if someone was just ribbing him. But there was one that he could not undo. That was, I kind of popped for that. I was like, Yujiro, you dope. You big dork. He being Yujiro, uses the pimp cane, uses the exposed turnbuckles. There's low blows and referees being arm dragged accidentally. And then there's handcuffs. Yano avoids getting handcuffed and he goes under the ring. Yujiro goes after him under the ring. Then there's some yelling, right? You hear some grunting. Then you don't hear anything anymore. Very professional, Warren. Having your phone on while you're recording for the people. But that's it. There's yelling, right? We don't see anyone. At some point, there's silence. And the ref starts to count. Then all of a sudden, like, compelling stuff, right? Like super compelling television. Then eventually you do hear some grunting. Yano returns to the ring. And Yujiro then follows out, rolling out from under the ring, but he can't make it to the ring in time because he's got his both hands handcuffed behind his back. What a wacky situation. Yano gets the win by count out. Another 2 for Toru Yano. You know, whatever. It's fine. Whatever, for what it's worth. Shingo Takagi defeated Tonga Loa. This was the Tonga Loa that I wanted to see the entire tournament. And I want to make something very clear. You know, I am not sitting here saying Tonga Loa did not work hard during the tournament. I thought he had a very, very strong tournament. Extremely strong tournament. But this match here was kind of like the one. It was the performance that I kind of hoped would represent his entire G1 this year. I'm just being picky, right? Because I enjoyed his other matches. I thought he had a very solid first G1. It's more than solid, a very good, entertaining G1, first G1. But here it was a little notch above everything else he did so far. Probably having, you know, probably the best wrestler of 2021 helping you along. I think it counts for something. That's right. I said it. Shingo Takagi, excuse me. Top guy of 2021. Best wrestler of the year. For sure. There's a lot of toe-to-toe offense that happens early on in this match that I thought was really cool. Shingo knocks Loa down first and hits a senton. Loa hits a great back suplex on the apron. And it's a great visual too, because Loa is literally like jumping off of the apron as he's doing it. It's great stuff. Slingshot senton and the standing moonsault follow once they're back in the ring. Running power slam. Operation Jado Killer, Blue Thunder Bomb. Loa is on top of Shingo here, throwing all of his offense at him. Then they start throwing each other in suplexes, getting immediately back on their feet. Loa hits an avalanche power slam. And this got a little scary here, because his feet slipped on the ropes. It could have been a disaster. Like, it wasn't pretty, it wasn't elegant. I'm pretty sure Shingo felt that bump, good and proper. But it was a, crisis averted. No biggie. Shingo then fires back with a superplex. So and I was like, all right, there you go. He goes for a pumping bomber. Loa converts it into a spear. Loa tries to powerbomb him, but Shingo ranas out of the powerbomb situation and then hits the pumping bomber. They strike at each other some more, and I am into it. When I'm watching a wrestling match and I'm going like this is one of my tics. I'm like, ooh. It's really one of my tics. When I'm watching a wrestling match, I'm going, that means I'm into it. Shingo wriggles out of the ape shit, hits a rope-assisted reverse GTR, and takes it home with the Last of the Dragon. Good little match here that these guys had. Very good stuff. Breeze to watch. Super into it. Super physical. Loa looked great. I can't say it enough. Tonga Loa looked fantastic. I don't know if it's like him. It's probably a combination of things, right? Because I also understand the idea that you don't want to work at an extremely high level in a G1 where you're running through this crazy this crazy tour, because it's very taxing on these wrestlers during these tours, right? Very, very taxing stuff. So I understand that they don't want to compete on a 5-star level every night. That wouldn't make sense. Wouldn't be good for them. Wouldn't be good for the storytelling either. So maybe, it could be just a question of Tonga Loa here is in a big time match with Shingo. Maybe he's like, okay, well, this is where I put my best foot forward. This is where I'm giving it my all. But also, like I said, wrestling takes two, right? You get a good dance partner, and like I said, in this case, probably the best dance partner you could have in 2021. How can you fumble it, right? It's good stuff. Good match. And then the main event. And yeah, you're right, Zeus King. Yano does need to move up to zip ties. Just never mind the tape, right, at this point. Just never mind it. So where are we at now? Yeah, that's right. The main event where Kota Ibushi defeated the great Okada. And I really liked this main event. Oh, Lord. I thought it was real good stuff. There's this great kick from Kota Ibushi to start things off, right? And, Great Okada can't quite get his guard up. Like, it's kind of up, but not completely. And Ibushi just strikes him with it, and he put his guard up is a little sloppy, so he kind of sells it. He sells it adequately. As a hell of a kick. And that, look, there's a lot of feeling out in the first portion of this match, this first third. Really as if they were both just saying to each other, look, we're going to go out there and we're going to give them like an MMA style fight. We're going to grapple, we're going to throw strikes at each other, and we're going to do it, believably, shoot style, because it did kind of feel shoot style at some moments. I was really, really into it. Very, plotting, not plotting, methodical, I guess would be the right term here, but not methodical in a boring sense. Just like two guys, looking for a tactical advantage. That's what they're doing. Scoping each other out, trying some stuff out. Well, it's, try a strike here. It doesn't quite work. Nice, compelling, evenly paced to show that both guys, and this is what added on here, both guys were looking to play, as Gordon Soley would say, the human game of chess, because this match was important for both of them. Kazuchi Okada. Great-O-Khan needed to win this match just to stay alive, just to continue to have a chance to qualify as the winner for the block. Same with, and for Kota, for him, this was a chance for him to take the lead of the block, since Zack Sabre Jr. had lost his match, and Kota was like, okay, cool, I got free reign to go at top, because Kota doesn't want to tie with Sabre, because Sabre has the tiebreaker on him. Kota doesn't want to tie with anyone, right? If I'm not mistaken, let me pull up the stats here. He could tie with Kenta. Oh, well, he hasn't wrestled Kenta yet. So Sabre already had the tiebreaker on it. So it was important for Kota to be like, look, if I'm going to win this one 3 years in a row, I have to win this match here. So it felt important. Both guys not willing to give up some room. They wanted to avoid mistakes. A lot of feeling out, and it just connected. It worked. Great-O-Khan gets some kicks on Ibushi's hamstrings while he's in a prone position, but Ibushi pops up and kicks Great-O-Khan down, locks in a figure four, of which Great-O-Khan struggles out of, and then lays out Ibushi with just a straight right hand. What? Like Mike Tyson. Boom! And Ibushi just drops. Fantastic stuff. Then he rolls Ibushi up into like a calf crusher. Ibushi fights out, wallops Great-O-Khan down. They trade some blows, and Ibushi gets plastered by a knee strike. No, not Ibushi. Great-O-Khan gets plastered by one hell of a knee strike, and then eats a Kamigoye. He's done. This ruled. This was so good, and there hasn't been a single match like this the entire G1. I dare say this is right up here for me for match of the tournament with Shingo and Ishii, and at this point I have to go back and watch Shingo versus Ishii, because I thought that was great. I thought that was a killer match. This one here, whoop! And it's not the same type of match. And you know what was great here too? Great-O-Khan, right? Showed off. He had two matches in this tournament where he showed off that he's a lot more than just big, mean-looking guy who throws Mongolian chops and headbutts people kind of thing. He did it in his match versus Sabre, where he sort of like, he tried to go toe-to-toe with the grappling, and then he pulled it out here again. Showed that he had some real combat fight experience. It ruled, man. I'm telling you guys, this was a lot of fun. And at this point, and I know, look, I was part of the skeptical crowd as far as Great-O-Khan goes. I'm not ashamed to admit it. But if this G1 can't get you on board Great-O-Khan's future, I don't know what to tell you. This was fantastic. It was a great, great main event. Unfortunately, by losing, Great-O-Khan is officially out of the tournament. But again, we'll talk about standings. We'll talk about standings, not just yet. meaning in a little while. Fun night 13. And look, again, if you don't like Yano matches, you want to skip that. You have 3 solid professional wrestling matches. Probably one of the easiest watches of the entire G1. Night 13, Block A. Give it a go. Absolutely give it a go. I'm not sipping moonshine. It's water. I never drink when I do. I know a lot of people do. Right? Joe Rogan, does it and he gets high when he does his stuff, and that's good for you. I don't. It'd ruin me if I did. Let's move over to night 14, Block B. Happened on October 10, a little earlier today on the day we're recording. Tama Tonga defeated Taichi. That's pretty dope. That's fun. It was a match of, no real significance for the rest of the tournament. Both of these guys are effectively eliminated. But I guess they're setting up some tag team stuff for after the tournament. Because they had Zack Sabre Jr. and Tongaloa over on Block A a couple of nights ago, going, Junior flashing his belt, and Tama Tonga kind of did the same thing to Taichi, and I'm like, all right, well, whatever. You guys know how much I care about the tag division in New Japan. To me, it's right up there with the WWE tag team division. Taichi's ribs are all taped up. Commentary's putting over, which is Kevin Kelly, by the way, doing all the heavy lifting. And, as a guy who does a podcast, and I mean, just strictly a podcast, all by himself. And I'm just saying stuff that comes out of my head. Like, I don't have to play-by-play anything. I highly respect the job that Kevin Kelly does when Chris Charlton isn't there on that leg of the tour, where he has to carry all of commentary all by himself. Talking to oneself and trying to convey stuff to an audience is not necessary. I don't want to say it's hard, because that'd be overstating it. Coal mining is hard. What I do is, it requires a certain amount of self-awareness and confidence, I guess. But look, it's not simple, is what I'm trying to say. I don't want to come out here and say what I do here is difficult, but it ain't easy. So kudos to Kevin Kelly for carrying all that. Why was I talking about? Oh yeah, because Kevin Kelly is commentary is putting over the fact that isn't putting over the fact what happened to Taichi's ribs. Maybe he had underlying issues with his ribs, and the Okada match aggravated them. We don't know. Who knows? But Tama Tonga took advantage of that, like almost straight off the bat with a camel clutch, right? Drives him into the ring edge on the floor. He gets him into a body scissors. Like, Tama's thinking with his noodle here. Taichi gets a hook kick in and then starts laying the kicks to Tama Tonga. And you can't say anything about Taichi's kicks. They rule. Tongan twist, but Taichi dodges the angel dive follow-up. Jumping Enziguri takes Tama down, but his ribs, his being Taichi's, keep him from going strong on him. Tama even stymies Taichi with a bear hug, just to tell you that's the story that we're telling here. Tama Tonga reverses out of a Black Mephisto into a Death Valley Bomb, then hits the Angel Dive, then the Gun Stun for the win. Good for our boy Tama Tonga, who will not end the tournament with just 2 points. Good for him. Holy Emperor Taichi. I apologize. Sanada defeated Yoshihashi again in a match that has no outcome, no stakes in the upper echelons of the card of Block B. I mean, Sanada. Look, Yoshihashi gets in control early on here in the match until Sanada hits a drop kick to the leg, then hits the Paradise. Well, not hits, but locks Yoshihashi in the Paradise Lock. Why doesn't Sanada? Why doesn't Sanada take a guy, beat him up a little bit in the ring, toss him out to the floor, follow him out to the floor, put him in the Paradise Lock on the floor, and get back into the ring and wait for the 20 count. That's what I'd do, because regardless of who he puts into the Paradise Lock, no one is able to escape it unless they get a drop kick on the ass. That's the only way that they ever get out of it. So honestly, I'm Sanada, and if I'm not honestly I'm Sanada, but honestly, if I am Sanada, big reveal today, folks. MrWarrenHayes is Sanada. If I'm him, that's my tactic every match, and my matches last 5 minutes, and I just dump him to the floor, tie him up, get back into the ring, and pour myself a glass of liquor while Marty Asani tries to count to 20 because he's dunce. He does his best. I mean, I think I think he has the numbers memorized on a sheet of paper. So you wait till Marty Asami counts to 20, and there you go. That's what I think. Should do that. Yoshihashi hits a blockbuster, a running set-out powerbomb as well. Sanada hits the TKO into the skull end. They roll in and out of stuff. He sets Yoshihashi up for a TKO. That's what I'm trying to say. But then goes into the skull end. They roll in and out of stuff and into a TKO. Yoshihashi does the swanton dive onto Sanada's knees. Yoshihashi wins a strong style duel between the both of them. Sanada at some point pops up from a dragon suplex, but eats a super kick, which was really well timed. Short little burst that was really fun. He hits the rope assisted TKO that was a little rough. You don't want to use the word sloppy around Sanada too much, because then people get bent out of shape. But it was a little rough. Sanada then hits the moonsault, sculling with the body scissors. We're done. Yoshihashi is kaput. Sanada gets 2 points, but it doesn't matter because they're already both done. One of the stories of this tournament, and we'll continue to talk about it, is Yoshihashi being so goddamn strong. Now I was talking with Kristen about it earlier today. Well, actually, I was watching this match over lunch, come to think of it. And I was having lunch with Kristen. I was watching this over lunch. And I told her, I said, Yoshihashi is still a geek, but he's a geek that can go. And at some point, when is he going to graduate from being a geek? Because he'll always be a geek to me, kind of like your kids, they'll always be your baby boy, your baby girl, regardless, no matter how, successful or unsuccessful or tall or strong or whatever they end up doing, old, they'll always be your babies. Yoshihashi will always be my geek. At some point, they're legitimately going to have to get him out of the. They're legitimately going to have to get him out of the 6-man tags. They're going to have to get him out of that program. He works with the audience. His underdog stylings connect with the Japanese audience, and there is no faulting his work. He's on the cusp. He's chomping for it. And he was like, yeah, you're going to put me on a G1. Let's go. A lot of people said, yeah, you're putting me in a G1. Let's go. Like Chase Owens. And Chase Owens right here. lost to Kazuchi Okada in a match which I really, really liked. Probably in my top 5 of the tournament. Want to say hello to Evan Wright, who's here. Nice to see you, Evan. Let's walk through it a bit. Okada's in control of this match, right? Until Chase lifts the knees on a slingshot senton attempt by Kazu. Then Chase starts working the back. And there you go. We're going, look at what we're doing here. We're already thinking back of his match against Tanahashi, which he won, shocker, right? He won. And he's already going to the weaknesses. They're like, there you go. Going for the back, and he's working on the on Okada's lower back early in this match. Okada early on, they all go to the floor. He hits the DDT on the floor as well. Chase Owens then follows up in the ring with a backbreaker. Okada with a flapjack. Chase does that great, I don't know how you call it exactly, that great cravat snapmare as Okada's sitting on the top turnbuckle. He's done it a couple of times. It just looks great. It looks fantastic. Great slingshot spear by Owens as well. Okada responds with the package neck breaker that he does. Locks in the money clip. This is going to be a story here, right? And Owens he swats his way out of it. And I like this shit. Because sometimes I'm like, look, you've got a free arm, pal. It's like, my legendary dislike for bear hugs is very, very simple. Right? You hold a guy in a bear hug, and you're basically belly to belly, right? Now, unless you're Andre versus fucking, Juventud Guerrera. Well, you can squeeze the air, you can, it's believable enough that Juvi's gonna be like, oh, I'm dying here, what the fuck are you doing, kind of thing. But two guys relatively the same size, if you're in a bear hug and you're not using your arms, yeah, there's pressure on your lower back, whatever, but if you're not using your hands, at the very least, to eye rake the dude, because you're right there in front of him. You just go, eh. Bear hugs are not believable to me. Even when I wasn't smart to the business back in my wee lad days, bear hugs still didn't make sense to me. And they make even less sense today. Tama Tonga did one earlier in his match with Taichi, but it makes sense because he had been working hard on Taichi's back, his ribs, throughout the match. And when he did lock in the bear hug, he didn't stay in it for like 2 minutes. Just to soften him up some more, and Taichi going, and then he let him go and transitioned into something else. Transitional bear hugs, fine. Submission move bear hugs. Anyway, what are we talking about? Why am I talking about bear hugs? Oh, because of the money clip. Right. So okay, there we go. Money clip. So Kazu has him locked in, right? And you have a free arm with the money clip. So what does Chase do? He starts walloping Kazuchi Okada in the face, right? It's a pop. That's cool. Owens avoids a drop kick and hits a shining wizard. Okada has wrist control like he usually does, but Chase is like, "Oh yeah, you're holding on to my wrist. Eat this boot, whomp. Eat this other boot, whomp. And then eat this V trigger, whomp." And then Okada lets go. Fantastic stuff. Like Owens did his homework, and he's like, "No, look, you want to hold on to my wrist? Boom. Oh, you're still hanging on? Boom. Oh, you're still hanging on? Kaboom." Big package piledriver tease by Owens. And you're like, here's the thing. I know he's fighting Kazuchika Okada. I know we're all predicting Okada to win the block. And it's been like that since the very first night. But look at what happened here. Chase Owens, one night, defeats the ace of New Japan. And he gets Okada up. He messes him up with those boots and that V trigger. C trigger, as Chase likes to call them. And then he gets him up into the package pile driver situation, and I'm like, oh shit, he might do it. That's what happens when you pay attention. That's how I know people are watching the G1 versus people who aren't. Because then you're able to piece things together that are happening throughout the tournament. Like, look, he might actually do it here. He didn't. Okada escapes, hits a spinning tombstone. But then there's another great moment, another great close pinfall attempt that they got me 100% on it. Chase rolls Okada up. Okada then rolls through the roll up and does his sit down pin, which he's won a match with in the G1, and I think he even beat Jeff Cobb a couple of months ago doing exactly that, just sitting down. So I'm like, oh! But no, Chase kicks out razor thin 2.9 call. And I'm like, isn't this great? Isn't this why you watch pro wrestling? Because you want stories to connect and make sense, because you're paying attention, because you're looking at a situation you hear, and on the split second, you're like, everything just rushes back. You're like, Okada's gonna do it because he's done it before using this move. This is how Chase Owens loses. But no, Owens kicks out and I pop. I'm up out of my seat. Okada locks in another money clip. Chase tries to escape. Okada's like, drags him back to the middle of the ring. And not only does he do that, he lies on top of Chase, leans into him, and starts just arching back. Chase taps instantly. Fantastic stuff. One of my top 5 matches of the tournament. I love it. I thought it was great stuff. I want to say hello to the Machine and Diego Rafael Solis Rivera. Welcome, you guys. But I'm not kidding. And as something as banal as Kazuchi Okada versus Chase Owens, for fuck's sake, right? It's like a match where you're like, Okada's going to plow through him. This was riveting good stuff, and it all made sense because from the start of the tournament, Chase Owens has been wrestling like this is the last tournament he's ever going to wrestle in his entire life, and Okada gave him shit. Okada gave him. He was generous with him. It was great. Chase stepped up here. Okada had to win this. This was another must-win for Okada because, well, I mean, we didn't know how bad of a must-win was going to be because Jeff Cobb didn't have his match yet. But Okada, of course, gets in here and he's like, I got to win this because Cobb might be winning his match, so I have to stay on top of stuff. Great stuff. Dan Heyman, good to see you, man. Welcome. Anyway, I think you should go out of your way to watch this match. Like it's not a 5-star classic. Like I don't think there's been a 5-star match in the G1 so far. I don't. I think we're close, high-level matches, but we haven't had that one where you're like, this is one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life. This ruled though, and I think you should go check it out. Evil defeated Hiroki Goto. This early on is, Goto gets attacked by Dick Togo as Evil distracts the ref. Goto gets tossed into the timekeeper's table. Evil gets him back in the ring, tries to cover, but he can't. So Goto fights back with the Hiroshi. There's another ref bump. Togo jumps in. He and Evil hit the Magic Killer. Evil hits Darkness Falls. Can't get the cover. Goto fights back with the GTR. With a reverse GTR, excuse me. There's another low blow. No, not another one. This is the first one. There is a low blow that is blocked by Goto, who hits and everything is Evil on Evil. There's a cradle that follows. Togo Togo distracts the ref. So we get the visual pin on Evil, who effectively loses the match, but the ref's not there to do his job. There's a GTR attempt, but Evil rakes the eyes. Evil grabs the ref to avoid another GTR. Togo runs in with the garrote. He chokes out Goto as the ref is distracted. The ref, Evil comes back in, picks up Goto. Everything is Evil. Pins. It's a loss for Goto. It's another 2 points for Evil, who is setting himself up to be the major master spoiler of this tournament. We're going to talk about that. All of the Block B shenanigans as far as these top three gentlemen go. And finally, Jeff Cobb defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi. No big surprise here. But again, what a fun match. What a good, fun match this is. Can't stand it. Tanahashi thought he could, I don't know. This was the first time they met, I think. Kevin Kelly was saying. And you could tell then Tanahashi was like, okay, I gotta feel this guy out. I gotta check things out here. So Evil does some test of strength with Cobb, and early on Tanahashi's like, yo, this boy's too strong. I can't go down this path. We're immediately switching to plan B. So he uses some mind games, some evasiveness to avoid the power moves and to annoy Cobb, by goading him out of the ring, then sliding back into the ring and stuff like that. But eventually it's a Cobb drop kick as Tanahashi's running the ropes that takes him down. Cobb hits a standing moonsault. He messes up Tanahashi's hair. And if that isn't one of the prime heel moves of any generation, messing up Tanahashi's hair, going like this, nah. It would have been a bigger heel move had Tanahashi had Wrestle Kingdom hair. Tanahashi's Wrestle Kingdom hair is always magnificent. It's a cut above any other show he does in the year. But I am not going to stand idly and look at Jeff Cobb mess up the hair of Hiroshi Tanahashi. God damn it. Boo! Have you no respect for the pillars of pro wrestling? Our great traditions. Tanahashi's hair. Cobb does his corner to the corner power slams, I guess. Running from corner to corner, which is awesome. Cobb, though, misses a somersault senton. Tanahashi hits one of his own. He does a drop kick to Cobb's knee, a dragon screw. As Tanahashi tries to create an opening for himself, locks Cobb into the cloverleaf. Cobb tries a deadlift suplex to the floor, which I don't know why. Like, usually those spots make me like, they're not going to do it. But I don't know. Maybe just because it's Jeff Cobb and he's huge. And I'm like, there was something plausible about it. And I was like, guys, don't do this for real, right? But Tanahashi blocked it. Dragon screws the leg again. They're on the floor. Ace is high off the top turnbuckle to the floor. And Tana just bounces off Jeff Cobb's chest. Like, he just boing. I mean, Cobb collapses, don't get me wrong. But, like, Tana doesn't collapse on top of him. He just bounces off Jeff Cobb, who is a beast, man. It's crazy. Cobb sells his leg as they trade some strikes. Spin cycle is countered into a sling blade by Tanahashi. Cobb catches Tanahashi flying off the top rope and then just reverts him into an F5. He catches him, plops him on his shoulder, and F5s, the ace of New Japan. He then hits a German suplex and a short arm tour of the islands out of nowhere. And he beats Tanahashi under 20 minutes. Jeff Cobb, another 2 points. Unstoppable. Cannot be contained. Good stuff. A really fun main event. Great story that was told here. Tanahashi not ready for Jeff Cobb. Tanahashi not ready for Jeff Cobb. That it's just as simple as that. And you know what? No one in this tournament was ready for Jeff Cobb. Nobody. Fantastic stuff. Look, honestly, another great night. Like, these were really 2 good nights of pro wrestling. That I highly suggest. I highly suggest you check out. I think both of these shows are worth your while. I think Okada versus Chase Owens is a highlight. I think Ibushi versus Great Okong. Great Okong. There's some synergy for you. There's some movie studio synergy right there. Ibushi versus Great Okon was fantastic. So was Shingo and Tonga Loa. And Jeff Cobb versus Tanahashi. Excellent stuff. And Okada and Chase Owens, man. I'm very high on that match. Great matches. Again, not the G1 great matches that you would expect out of a G1. You know what I mean? It's like nothing where you're like, oh, this is the greatest shit of all time. You know, it's like, look at it. But solid wrestling. Solid professional wrestling. Couple of hours. Like if you cut the prelims out, you got a couple of hours of pro wrestling. Of a couple of hours of real muscle live. Of fighting with the real sword. Max to the max. Exactly. That's what you got to do. You got to max to the max with some real muscle live and some fighting with a real sword. You know, it's great because it's shit that sounds really cool in Japanese. You know, but it gets lost in the translation for us. And I love it. It's great. Greatest G1 theme of all time. If we're being that's a tier list I should make. What are the greatest G1 themes? I don't think there have been that many. But max to the max. You got to get max to the max. What are we talking about? The standings. Block A right now. Look, there's only 5 people who are still mathematically still in contention. Kota Ibushi, who is leading the pack at 12 points. Then Zack Sabre Jr., Kenta, and Shingo, who are all at 10 points. Great Okan, Tomohiro Ishii, Toru Yano, Yujiro Takahashi, the Tokyo Beam, Tonga Loa, have all been eliminated. Tetsuya Naito has been done for a while. Now, I would even, if I was not a spineless slug, out of pure fear that he'd come after me, I would dare say that Shingo Takagi's tournament is done. Because even if the only way Shingo can win Block A, the G131, is if he wins his 2 next matches. He has to defeat Great Okan and he has to defeat Yujiro Takahashi, which is entirely possible. But I think Great Okan could be a surprise here. I don't think Yujiro's going to be a thing. But these are his last two matches. And this was, one of Shingo's best deals here, because he had a sort of an easy end of tournament, or at least matches that he's heavily favored. Because if he loses one match and ends the block at 12, which is where Kota is right now, and let's say Kota, look, Ibushi and Sabre both have tiebreakers on Shingo. So Shingo has to win his two next matches. He absolutely has to. Even if Kenta wins his two next matches, which are against Kota Ibushi and Tonga Loa, so I think one out of those two should be a lock for Kenta. Shingo has the tiebreaker on Kenta. It's funny but I don't think Shingo's going to do it. I don't think Kenta is either. I think the best scenario here is that Shingo might tie for first, but he's going to lose because of the tiebreakers. I don't think he's winning the block. Ibushi has one match left in the chamber because of the Naito bump, right? And it's Kenta, and I think he's going to win it. I think Kota Ibushi is going to finish the tournament with 14 points. As far as Zack Sabre Jr. is concerned, he's got two left in the chamber. Two that technically he should win. Heavily favored. Yano, Tonga Loa. Yeah, I think he's in a very good position to finish at 14 points as well. I think the only way this gets really weird is if Kenta beats Ibushi. I think that's when it gets weird, and like I said, creates an opportunity for Shingo to get up there. Connor McCabe, good to see you, Connor. Welcome to the chat. And then we have Shingo, and then that's it. Well, we talked about Shingo, right? Yeah. So and I'm gonna tell you, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this. I think there's two ways to look at it. I think your bigger match, like as far as pure drawing power, is by having Block A being won by Kota Ibushi or Shingo, right? Because they're two of your top stars. Plus, with Ibushi, you have this whole story about winning the G1 3 years in a row. This would be the fourth consecutive year that he makes it to the finals, right? I mean, that's a cool story. But if you're getting Okada on the other end, let's talk about Block B. If you're getting Okada on the other end, you need a big time star. But I think Zack Sabre Jr. should go, because I think it would be a fresher match. It'd be more interesting. And Zack has been wrestling prime work. He's been wrestling some of his prime work all throughout the tournament. You don't think that he's going to step it up against Kazuchika Okada in a main event? Maybe Okada's like, look, this isn't the match I want to run. This isn't the match I want to run. Specifically, like, now. I don't want to do a grappling match. Which, sure. I can get that. He's probably got a little more stroke with the booking committee than Zack does. I don't mean that disparagingly. But it's a little more up in the air as far as Block A goes. But I'd like Zack to win, but I think Kota is winning. Block B. You've got yourself Jeff Cobb and Kazuchika Okada, who have been undefeated. They are heading towards their battle at the end of the G1, right? On the last night of Block B, it's those two. Now, so they're up there with 14 points. Evil is at 12. Hiroshi, Tanahashi, Sanada, Taichi, Goto, Yoshihashi, Tamatanga, Chase Owens, all been eliminated. They're no point in talking about them moving on. Now, clearly, conventional wisdom would tell you Jeff Cobb and Kazuchi Okada keep winning till the end, right? But Evil here, and this is the kind of thing that we know Gato is capable of. Evil just coming in playing spoiler, right? Evil's next match, is it his next match? But he has 2 matches left. Jeff Cobb and Sanada. Entirely possible to see Evil get end the tournament with 16 points. Why? Because it's Evil, and this is the chaotic evil. You know, where it's like you don't know what's gonna happen. You could be like, oh, but the previous story, so that they've got lights that can be shut down. They've got Dick Togo and a Garrote. They have ref distractions. They can do all the bullshit they want to make Evil win. So essentially, it doesn't matter. And the only question is, how far is Gato ready to have Evil play spoiler here? Is the next match? The next match is Jeff Cobb versus Evil. Now, if you're asking me, maybe you are because you're listening to this right now. If you're asking me, I just keep this trajectory going with Jeff Cobb and Okada. You know, where Evil's like, oh, Evil's sneaking up, because the match everyone wants to see is Jeff Cobb and Okada again. Both kept separate throughout the tournament. Both have been dominant. Not a single loss. This, to me, carries much more drama and interesting storytelling towards the end. It might be a little more conventional, might not be out of the box, crazy, wacky idea, but, you know, as I often like to say, you don't have to overthink wrestling booking when you have elements like this that are so strong, when you have talent that is undeniably talented, like Cobb and like Okada, and this, especially with the story they've been telling. Okada is a beast. He cannot be stopped. Kazuchika Okada, back in Rainmaker form, he's been on a tear. Just have those two collide at the end. Like, this is great. It's like the 2 undefeated guys at the block. Simple, effective, and you know what? We know we're going to get a great match because we got tastes of it all throughout the summer, spring and summer. And the one thing that keeps making me lean towards this, towards them going towards a big showdown between Cobb and Okada. I said this at the start of the tournament, and I'll say it again. The fact that Jeff Cobb defeated Kazuchika Okada at, I want to say, Wrestle, the last big show that they had, Wrestle something. The fact that he lost there is usually indicative of Gato giving the guy who lost his win back in the tournament, and it's going to be a big time win. It was a big time loss. Let's go for a big time win. Okada gets a win over Cobb because all he had to do to make us believe that Jeff Cobb could beat Kazuchika Okada in the G1 is to have Jeff Cobb beat Kazuchika Okada before the G1 started. Like right before, the show just before we jump into G1 season. Here's where we are. I can also entirely envision a scenario where Evil beats Jeff Cobb and Kazuchika Okada continues his wins, but I don't think it would be weird to me that if on the final night of the tournament we go into the tournament saying to ourselves, Okada, because even if Okada leads Jeff Cobb by a victory, by 2 points, if Jeff Cobb wins and ties Okada, he'll have the tiebreaker on Okada and he'll win. So the drama is still there, even if Evil wins. But it's kind of pointless to do it regardless. I would much rather be compelled to watch a Jeff Cobb taking on Evil and had to deal with all the Dick Togo shenanigans and everything in between to just straight up destroy Evil and move on. That's what I'd like to see. But I would not be surprised if Gedo has something else in mind. And I know a lot of people, Evan Wright in the chat, by the way, are talking about a three-way match to determine the block, right? And I don't think it's mathematically possible. Well, not mathematically. I don't think it's possible. I don't think you can do it. Because if first of all, Evil will have to beat Jeff Cobb to do that. Evil will have to beat Jeff Cobb. And then Jeff Cobb will have to beat Okada on the last night, and Okada will have also so they'll all be at, and then Evil will also have to win his last match against Sanada to make sure that everyone is at 16 points. That first of all, that's the kicker. So then when you get to tie break those three, well, Evil has the win on Cobb. Cobb will have to have the win on Okada, and Okada will have to have Okada already has the win on Evil. But I think it's very anticlimactic to do that. I don't think it's interesting. And again, like, New Japan doesn't have a history of doing triple threats. I could be wrong, but I don't see it happening. Look, the minute that Evil defeats Jeff Cobb, let's sit around and talk about it some more. As it stands right now, I don't think it's happening. So what's on the menu coming up? That was Wednesday, tomorrow, October 13. At the moment we're recording this, we are going to be having. So Ibushi gets his match against Kojima, which is not block related. That's due to the Naito situation. Tomohiro Ishii should defeat Yujiro Takahashi, the Tokyo Beam. Kenta versus Tongaloa. Kenta should win this one as well. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Toru Yano. Again, another win for Zack Sabre Jr. Shingo Takagi in the main event against Great-O-Khan. Shingo should win. Could be an interest, but if he loses, he is officially out of the tournament. Even though I think he already is, technically speaking. But you know. And B Block will be back then on Thursday with its own matches. I don't know what I was trying to say. Taichi versus Chase Owens. Hiroki, which Taichi, I guess, like, these matches really don't matter. Hiroki Goto versus Sanada. Okay, whatever. Sanada, it doesn't matter. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Yoshihashi. Again, no big impact. The two main event matches, though, that's where it starts getting juicy. Jeff Cobb versus Evil could have direct impacts on the future of Block B. And Kazuchika Okada versus Tama Tonga. I think Okada should win. But again, any wrinkles here in these two matches, and we will be talking about a whole different B Block the next day. I should be back on Friday before Minoru Suzuki and Daniel Bryanson, before those two goons go at it for free on freaking YouTube on the AEW channel, all right? I should be here before that to recap the next two nights. I'm not going to be doing my recap on Thursday because Thursday is the MrWarrenHayes show proper. So instead, I'll be doing my recap probably on Friday because I can only do so many streams at once here. In the meantime, folks, thank you all very much for hanging out. Wrestling's cool these days. Wrestling is good again. Wrestling's fun. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Hope you guys are enjoying these recaps. If you are, leave a like and so on and so forth. You can also check out all of my recaps by following the handy dandy playlist that's on the YouTube channel. It'll just lean you right naturally into the next one. It's fantastic. It's so easy to use. Go use it. That's why I did it. Hope you guys have a great rest of your evening or day. Gosh darn it, I'll see you next time.